Good day, Dan Davis, 80K Wealth Advisory Group and Financial Planning World. Here we're talking in the financial planning scope of protection planning, and then the category is long-term care. I'm joined by a colleague, Brant Steck, Certified Financial Planner from Brokerage Unlimited, also known as BUI. And really what we're here today to talk to you about is how can you be the best advisor possible for the clients that you're responsible for serving in the area of protection planning. And it's been my experience that so much has happened in our industry over the last 30 years that I've been doing this. Early on, you know, it was really simple. There was like one type of product. The insurance covered them if they went into a nursing home, so they either had to decide, am I buying the equivalent of term life insurance or am I just going to live with the risk? And the big question was, you know, will the insurance company actually be there to pay the benefit or not? Because there were a lot of criminals. As evolution has occurred in the industry, it's so different now than what it was 30 years ago, and there's so few providers. So as a result of that, I asked Brent to join us today because I'm not expert in this category and he is. So I was curious, could you just sort of comment, Brent, on what you think about the current status of the industry relative to things like indemnity, reimbursement, all those different topics that you've put videos together separate from this?
Yeah, you did a great job explaining sort of the background of long-term care insurance, and I would say a lot of advisors would make similar comments in that there's not many financial planners who are really super comfortable with long-term care insurance.
Right.
And it's like, well, why is that? And largely it's because a lot of them have had sort of an unfavorable experience with it. I have a client that walked into my office. They brought in this rate increase and said, what should I do with this? I'm on a budget, I'm on a fixed income, I've got a 40% increase, and next year I'm getting another 40% increase. And it's a difficult conversation for an advisor to have, especially when a lot of times they weren't the ones who were the agent on the original policy. Those traditional long-term care insurance plans have pretty much gone by the wayside. There's very few carriers who still offer those plans. And like you said, you know, 25 years ago, they were essentially nursing home plans, and very different from what's available today. Today, most of the plans available are provided largely for home health care, where clients can stay where they're comfortable as long as possible. So what led to the sort of the demise, if you will, of traditional long-term care insurance? Well, number one is the interest rate environment. Insurance carriers could never have anticipated the interest rate environment that we're in today. Those plans from the 80s and 90s, the insurance companies assumed a certain level of interest on their assets, and it didn't happen. When that didn't happen, the clients who thought their premium was fixed ended up not being fixed. Second, claims activity. Traditional long-term care insurance, it's kind of, if you don't use it, you lose it. If you pass away, you don't get anything out of it. If you decide you want to quit, you don't get anything in return. So people more push to use the benefit than other types of insurance. So the way that the insurance industry has sort of responded is what they call hybrid plans, which are life insurance policies with a long-term care insurance rider. Now, I hate describing it that way because anybody that knows life insurance is like a rider is like you know, fries with your burger. Nobody's buying it. People are buying the burger and the fries are extra. With hybrid long-term care insurance plans, which are life insurance plans with long-term care insurance riders, the clients are purchasing these plans for the strong long-term care benefits, not necessarily for the death benefit. The death benefit maybe being the secondary or tertiary benefit. These plans have a guaranteed fixed premium, guaranteed long-term care pool, death benefit guaranteed, guaranteed inflation protection, and it gives the clients a lot of certainty. Usually these plans around age 85, clients have about a 7.5% internal rate of return on their long-term care pool of money, which is pretty strong. And if the client passes away and doesn't use it, there's a death benefit that's payable to the family. If they do use the long-term care, the death benefit drops proportionally based upon what they sold or based upon what they used in long-term care claim. And if they want out, there's a, in case of fire, break glass feature, where the clients can say, look, I want to get out, and they can get back some or all of their premium depending upon how they structure the plan in the first place. So whether they live a long time, whether they pass away early, or whether they decide to just quit and be done with it, they are going to see some benefit out of the plan, which is a significant difference from these plans just a decade or so ago.
When we talked earlier, you had alluded to the fact, just like with the traditional plans, that the number of providers has really funneled down. And you alluded to the fact that there was one particular provider and then a lot of them have replicated that. Could you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, Lincoln, we don't play carrier favorites.
Right.
We like to believe we're carrier agnostic, for lack of a better description, but Lincoln has a product called MoneyGuard that's now in the third iteration. And it is very similar to what I just described. Live, die, quit. You have a lot of guarantees in the contract. Since they came out with their plan, Minnesota Life, who's now securing, has a very similar plan. One America has a similar plan that's on a whole life chassis. Pacific Life has a plan, and Nationwide has a plan. Now, one of the main differences with the Nationwide plan is the way that you get benefits. So the vast majority of long-term care policies are pay claims based upon a reimbursement style. So if I were to go on claim and I have $5,000 a month, I submit receipts, get caregivers approved, and I get reimbursed up to that $5,000 a month. Indemnity plans, as soon as a client qualifies for claim, they immediately get a check for the maximum monthly benefit. So all things being equal, just about anybody would prefer an indemnity style plan. I want to get my money sooner.
Right.
I have family who are not qualified caregivers who I want to be able to provide some sort of compensation for care. Great, I have a way to do that. Now, historically, indemnity plans are usually more expensive. Usually about 25% more expensive, which is why, in general, most of the plans you see are reimbursement. Nationwide's plan, at least in today's market, is very competitively priced with other carriers who offer reimbursement plans, making their plans very attractive.
So when you say Nationwide, do you hear the jingle?
You know what? I grew up in Columbus, Ohio,
Yeah.
so I do hear the
Right.
jingle and think of Peyton Manning and Brad Paisley, and they do
Right.
very good marketing, obviously.
Well, I've seen Brad at one of the local taverns I go to.
Oh, is that right?
I live in Nashville, so everyone's polite when the stars are in there, but there's a little place not far from my house that he goes into for dinner and a drink every
Wow,
once in a while,
that's neat. That's not happening in my neighborhood.
No, I grew up in Florida, and it's not happening.
Okay,
there.
yeah.
So if I were sort of going to wrap this up with some statistics, you did a video that kind of blew my mind. For the financial planning world audience, tell them a little bit about the baby boomers and the pig and the python.
Yeah, the baby boomers are growing rather significantly. Every day between now and 2030, 10,000 baby boomers are turning age 65. When you think about that in terms of longevity planning, we're going to have a supply and demand problem. And that is going to be a really big benefit for people who have long-term care insurance because the cost has already been rising. And when you have a bigger population entering care facilities, it's likely just going to become more and more expensive.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling to even think. So as we wrap it up and have a call to action, there's really two. One is from a best practice standpoint, if you're interested in being part of a round table of sharing best practices, whether or not we bring experts in that have a very specific niche or other financial planners. The Financial Planning World community is all about that. You can go to financialplanningworld.com, reach out and connect that way. We'll talk more about what that would look like. And Brent, would you like to tell them a little bit about the call to action for BUI?
Yeah, for BUI, everything we do is very planning oriented. We built our whole operation around focus groups with financial planners trying to figure out what makes insurance difficult for them and how we can make it easier. And so you're never going to hear us come in and tell you this is the product you should go and market to your client. Everything we do is based upon identifying client goals and objectives and then bringing solutions to the table. As it specifically relates to long-term care insurance, we have a process called long-term care evaluation. Essentially, the client completes an information gathering kit that helps us identify their goals and objectives, their family circumstances, how their assets are held, and we'll put together a customized report based upon their specific goals and objectives and bring in unique solutions that are specific to them. And we'll even join the advisor in the meeting, help run the meeting, answer the questions, and allow the advisor to sit on the same side of the table as a client and help them in making a decision rather than feeling like they're the ones that have to run the meeting.
So if someone hasn't used BUI before and that sort of perks their ears up, how would they go about that?
Just go to buiusa.com, and there's a request a partnership. You're obligating yourself to nothing. You're just providing yourself. You're just providing your name and contact information, and same day we'll have somebody reach out to you about how to work with BUI.
Wonderful. Again, many times you've joined us. We thank you for that. Reach out in one of those two ways. We're here to help. Have a great day.